Thanks for tuning into Part-Time Adult. I'm Aurelio. So about 15 years after deciding that studying business in college wasn't for me, and that after getting a bachelor's degree in journalism that I was absolutely done with school, I went ahead and got a master's of business administration, aka an MBA, at Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles because God has a sense of humor, and I dig that. Though, I would much rather prefer a joke that did not cost me 40 grand, and that's a bargain in today's prices. No more debt, thank you, it's all paid off. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But listen, it's all a journey. And the sooner you understand that, the better off you'll be. In college, I got really into photography, and it led me to some really interesting places. A lot of people who got into video usually started with photography. I was one of these people. Eventually, an opportunity as a volunteer videographer came up. Volunteer? You mean I get to work for free? No fooling? Oh boy. Best thing I could have ever done. I would later become a part of a camera team for a production company with a YouTube channel that now has over 200,000 subscribers and over 31 million views, if I remember correctly. And when I joined, they were at like 77,000. It was this faith-based organization called P4CM, which stood for Passion for Christ Movement. The majority of the content was Christian spoken word and music. And I got to shoot this event called Rhetoric. At first it was called Lyricist Lounge, but Raucous Records in New York had that name on lock. Rhetoric ended up being the largest spoken word event in the world, period. Not faith-based, just period. When I first got involved, it was about 1,100 people. Then a few years later, it almost tripled. We outgrew the church on Crenshaw right off the 10 in LA. So much fun. And people around the world, they would say things like, "Much love from South Africa. When are you coming to Toronto? We need this in Vegas." You know, it's so dope. And at one point, we had the opportunity to shoot at YouTube Space in LA. What was it like shooting at YouTube Space? It's as awesome as you would think. Life-changing experience. Sometimes I got to shoot on these $8,000 Canon cinema cameras, and I'd have a 5-lens kit that cost around 25 grand. And YouTube Space had this area called the cage. And every light, lens, camera, microphone, you name it, whatever you needed, it was in the cage. All you had to do was walk over there, tell them what you want, and they give it to you. Just bring it back when you're done. So I might walk in empty-handed with a list full of stuff, and 3 minutes later, I have a Costco dolly with $50,000 worth of equipment on it. And 2 more dollies on the way. And I remember the brother at the cage, he was always so cool, chill. Brother, I think he always had like one of those like dread caps and little beanie caps. And he was always like, "Let's see what we got there, man." And if they didn't have the 3 $8,000 cameras that we wanted, they'd give us 3 $5,000 cameras, or 1 $8,000 camera and 2 $5,000 cameras. And this wasn't open to anybody. You had to have a certain number of subscribers. I think if you had 10,000 to like 99,000, you could use it 1 time per month, and you could be there all day. And if you had like 100,000 to just under 1 million, you could use it 3 times. And I think 1 million gives you 6 spots per month. And I mean, everybody uses this place. Big time users. I think Fox Sports shot in there. I think Activision Blizzard or one of them, or EA Sports shot stuff there. Yeah, it was really dope. And we would shoot like a smaller scale version of Rhetoric called the Lyricist. Not the Lyricist Lounge, but the Lyricist. And I managed to like work on my craft, and I had like a style that allowed me to like really be creative and help the editor out, because I was doing like kind of like effects inside the camera. I'm zooming out, playing with the focus and all. It was so much fun. And it happened because one day we were shooting this one artist, and we had a ton of footage, and I asked the director, "Hey, can I like freestyle a little bit?" She's like, "Yeah, go for it." And then her face lit up when she saw what I was doing. She was like, just do that. Just do that all the time. So I was like, cool. And during this journey, I got to meet so many cool people, some I still keep in contact with, and I got to meet, world-class poets, in this particular faith-based community, like Prentice, Powell, Genetics, Ezekiel, Chris Webb, Jefferson, Bethke, who had that "Why I Hate Religion But Love Jesus" video that had 35 million views on YouTube. Chris Webb, he's got a whole Emmy. I got to be in a men's group with him, solid dude. And these are really big names in this space. And and when Preston Perry proposed to Jackie Hill, I was there. That's me. One time Kev on stage was the host at Rhetoric, and he came out after like this dope poem, and he was like, man, y'all lucky that I ain't got my preacher rag. If not, I'd be out here preaching. And I just happened to be 15 feet away. And I had a rag, because whenever I shoot, I tend to have a rag tucked in my shorts, because I'm sweating running around this big old church with this camera and all this extra equipment. So when he said that, I threw the rag at him. He picked it up off the floor and he started preaching, and he jumped in the crowd. Crowd went crazy. He went viral, and that was cool to be part of like this little viral moment. I'll never forget that. I know some people won't forget that. I know I won't. Well, my grandmother had Alzheimer's, so I may forget that. But it was cool to be able to contribute to these videos that had millions of views, and getting to shout out God in the process. Pretty cool too. And now making videos is one of my favorite things, even though I still hate editing, but I no longer have to be in the editing bay with the physical tape. You know what? I actually just learned that after that thing in 2020, the thing, they closed the YouTube space, and they had spots all over the world, in London, Paris, like Berlin, a bunch of spots, and they're all closed except 3 of them. I think it's Mumbai, Dubai, and Sao Paulo. Like, look, YouTube, if you bring it back, please bring the YouTube space back. If you can't do LA, we got land out here in Texas. I'm really, really glad that I got back into video. So what changed? Well, I learned a lot more about myself as I got older. I realized that anything in life worth doing is gonna be challenging. I had to put in the work. Certain things in life came easily to me, and I got spoiled. Not bragging, because I had many areas in life that I found to be challenging, and I still do. Case in point. Over the years, I was just willing to put in the work if I wanted to do something and not run away from it anymore. I had to change my attitude. I stopped running from challenges, like I did that Econ 2 honors class in college from this video. My newest challenge is getting better at making videos and being more consistent. I'll let you know how that goes, or I guess you will in the comments. Hopefully, pray for me. And those birds. The birds came back to haunt me in grad school. And we had this assignment. We had to figure out a solution, because we were acting as this company that had like these super huge windmills like scattered throughout the Midwest going north to south. And when it came time for the birds to migrate, they would fly into these windmills and die. So we needed to come up with a solution. My genius solution was to plant trees and create man-made lakes to attract the birds as they migrated, like a park for them, so that they can be over there, kind of like a service road or a frontage road. You got your windmills over here, and you got your parks and rec over here, right? So everyone was giving out their solutions, and our professor shot down every single one dead out of the sky, kind of like those birds. So after racking our brain for what seemed like hours, she says 3 words: not your problem. And I was like, huh? She said, that's a problem for the bird people. Are you the bird people? I said, no. Okay then, not your problem. The purpose of a business is to earn money. And I was like, whoa, yeah, but I understand what she meant though, because on the surface, it seemed kind of cold and heartless, and it was an MBA program, so I guess the shoe fits or whatever. But it was a dose of reality, especially for people who want to solve all these problems when it might not be your job or your calling. It might not be your responsibility. That doesn't mean that our company couldn't try to do something to help, but that's not the main thing. Our main thing is making sure the energy from these wind farms generate electricity for our customers. Now, we could help by maybe donating money to certain bird causes or foundations or something like that. Money helps. If you think about it, if you do want to have a business that does something to improve the world, that's phenomenal. But if you want it to remain a business, you have to make money somehow. So you have to think about how you want to approach things. Unless you come from a rich family and have everything paid for you, in which case, forget everything I said. Happy for you. So, there you have it. My journey from wanting to study business to not wanting to study business to wanting to study business, from not wanting to shoot video, or from wanting to shoot video to not wanting to shoot video to wanting to shoot video again, and those freaking birds who won't stop flying into stuff coming back into my life. Quite a journey. I'm glad I went to grad school. I was up for a promotion and a raise at work. That raise went from about 10 to 15 grand to 25 grand when my boss found out I had an MBA. That was pretty cool. And if you want to see how I went about choosing my school for my MBA, check out this video. I'll link it below too. What do you think? Have you ever been dead set on doing something only to do a complete 180, then maybe doing another 180 back? Let us know in the comments. Like, sub, share, all that stuff if you like me. I'm Aurelio, part-time adult. Thanks for watching.